How's it going, guys? It's your boy Mike from Seattle, and I'm back here again with Caleb and Chuck. How's it going, fellas?
What's up? How's it going?
So we just did a video where we talked about how they, at the age of 19 years old, managed to buy 10 units, 5 duplexes, completely owner financed, and they were even able to raise money to come up with a $90,000 down payment from private investors. So they quite literally, as broke college students, were able to buy real estate 100% with other people's money, no money of their own, just a lot of hard work, hustle, and grit. It's a pretty amazing story. I recommend you check that video out. But in this video, we're going to talk about a couple of other things. Number one, we want to learn how they went from 10 to 28 units because they've done all of this in less than a year's time frame, if I'm doing the math right in my head. We also want to hear from them some of their stories or their tragedies or what went wrong. So first question out the gate to you guys. What has been like the worst thing that's happened to you so far? Like a tenant, died in a property or a building burned down? Like what's happened so far?
Yeah, I think the worst one came from our second deal. We had some people that were saying they were going to give the capital to us for the down payment. And then 2 weeks before closing, they had a change of plans. And so we had about 48 hours to raise $60,000 to $75,000. So that
Because we need to get everything rolling with our attorney and everything. So
yeah,
we needed to know that they were going to be the ones owning that piece of the LLC. And then I guess they weren't anymore.
Yeah, they kind of just said, nope, not doing it. And then never talked to them again. And then, so yeah, that was probably the most stressful thing we've had to deal with.
So 2 days prior to closing on a deal, an investor supposed to come up with 70 grand worth of a down payment for you decides, I'm out, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, it was like about 2 weeks, but we need our attorney to get on it and finish the LLC docs and the management agreement, all the members agreement.
Sure.
And so we needed him to start like in 2 days to make sure we're closing. And they decided they weren't going to be doing the deal. And so.
And did they give you a specific reason or did they just bounce?
Kind of just a vague reason and bounced.
Really? Yeah. I mean, in the back of their head, they're thinking, I don't know if I trust these kids. I'm out. Something stupid.
Yeah. But it also taught us a solid lesson because he seemed kind of fishy at first. Like he would just kind of push it off, and he wasn't really like going after it. And
I think that I agree with Chuck that was the biggest learning experience we got from that one is the guy kind of just kept like, oh yeah, we'll chat in a few days. And if somebody keeps doing that to you, the chances are it's not going to end well.
Yeah, as inspiring as you guys' story is, because you're 19 years old and now 20 years old, one of the things, I used to trust people a lot more when I was younger, a lot more, because man, why would people lie? I'm not lying to anybody, but you find out as you get older, dude, people are just shady. They're self-interested. They're only out to take care of number one. And it's frustrating. I mean, as a police officer myself, unfortunately, believe it or not, this might come as a surprise to you guys. People lie to me all the time. Who knew, right? But as sad as it is, you become more distrustful as you get older. But this was a learning experience. I'm glad you learned it young. So how did you come up with 2 weeks to go? Where'd you find the money?
Yeah, so we kind of actually just went through the mentorship. It was Cody's mentorship, had a bunch of connections. We'd made friends in there. We're like, nice. Hey, we're looking for capital. This is the deal. We got bailed on us last second, kind of pitched the deal, ran over the numbers, and had people eagerly jump on it from that group.
Nice. So I think I'm going to follow up because I didn't ask this in the last video. Your LLC structure. I think people would be very interested in learning how this works. So we talked about how you're owner financing with a balloon payment due at 5 years. You're also bringing in private investors to raise the down payment. You have your payment due back to them in 7 years. Now, what you do is you buy it under an LLC. But can you explain a little bit more the structure, why you use the LLC and how everybody gets structured within it?
Yeah, so there's a separate LLC for every single deal, because otherwise it would get jumbled up and it wouldn't really make sense because they're buying into their equity partners. They're buying into a piece of the deal. Like the first one, since we were buying it over market, it was overpriced. We had to give them a little bit of extra cushion. So we gave them 30, 30, 30, and we both took 5. Okay. So if we were to default, they would be made whole.
Okay.
Yeah, that was kind of the thought process.
They were 30% owners of the property?
Yeah, they so there we just wanted to make sure if anything did happen to the property that we would lose our ass before they lose their ass property. So that's the reason we went that route. But yeah, we just structured it as an LLC. Chuck and I are the managing members of it, and they're just limited members. We make all the decisions for it, and they just park their money with us.
So now to people out there who aren't super familiar with LLCs, I'm actually one of them. So I want to make sure that I'm understanding this correctly. You formed a company. Now within the company, the limited liability corporation, you have the attorney draw it up so that each one of these 3 investors are 30% owner of the company, and you and Chuck are 5% owners of the company. However, within the agreement, you were the only 2 who can make decisions about how to manage the company, correct?
Yep, exactly.
And then if for whatever reason you mismanaged the property, or it went bankrupt, or you didn't make your payments, and the owner who's financing with you foreclosed on you, these folks get paid back first if it was to go back to the owner and then get sold, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I'm understanding that correctly. It's a little complex. Not everybody's as smart as you guys. You guys dropped out of college. I never even attended one day. So that's clearly the difference right there. Okay. So, all right. So your worst story was having somebody pull out with just a few days to go. What's your worst tenant experience so far? Have you had any bad ones?
I don't think we've had any crazy ones, really.
Yeah,
It's been
not yet.
smooth
Fingers
sailing
crossed,
so
but
far.
Okay. Now, the city that you guys invest in, is it a nicer city? I'm assuming it's probably not the hood or the ghetto.
yeah, no, we definitely avoided those. That's one thing that was challenging too about looking at deals, is when we were getting familiar with Texas. We talked about this in the last video, but as we were getting familiar with Texas, we didn't know what was the hood and what wasn't, right?
Right.
So it was like, oh, this all property is awesome. The numbers are crazy on this. We look, it's in like smack dab of the hood. We're like, okay, like we are gonna buy this deal just because one thing Christian and Cody instilled in us, and a lot of gurus we heard it first from Kiyosaki, is the most important thing is location every single time.
Yeah.
So yeah, with this one, it was growing city, South Texas, McAllen. So we were comfortable that made sure we weren't buying in the hood.
Sure.
So yeah.
Yeah, I like it. So most people know that I invest in Gary, Indiana, and Gary, Indiana has been dubbed America's most miserable city. It has 3 times the national poverty rate, 3 times the national crime rate. People will say to me, "How could you invest here? It's a terrible idea." And I completely agree. It is a very unique and challenging market to invest in. But there's one thing that I always say to people. In every market, anywhere in the country, there's people who invest successfully and people who don't invest successfully. And so if you're able to find someone who's doing it right and then copy what they're doing, you too can be successful. So my question to you guys, did you find somebody in Texas to mentor you, or was it really just Cody and Christian mentoring you on the process, and then you went to Texas and just really figured it out all on your own?
Yeah, it was pretty much that. We just knew they invest in Washington, where you live, not a very landlord friendly state to say the least. And I'm sure we could have figured it out in California eventually, but we were just like, why do we want to deal with that? We just hear all the horror stories. Like the first ever real estate meetup Chuck and I went to, somebody was talking about it took 3 years to evict one tenant. And it was just like, that's just not something we were interested in dealing with. So yeah, we went to Texas, and the whole process of really buying real estate is kind of similar, but we just had to figure out the little nuances kind of on our own.
Sure. Okay, fellas. Well, we've gone through a bunch of this stuff. I think what people want to know now, how did you go from 10 units to 28? Was it one more 18-unit deal, or was it a few more deals in there? Tell us, give us the overview.
It was kind of crazy. It kind of just snowballed. We got the 10 under contract, and then we got another under contract. We closed on the 10, and then we got another under contract before we closed our 8-unit, which was the second.
Wow.
So it was 8 and a 10.
Wow. Okay. So wait. So when did you close on the 10? Hold on. What date? What was the date?
Early September.
So September of 2022. Like 2 months before I met you for the first time at the One Rental at a Time live event, you closed on your first property, and then you had other ones under contract at that exact same time. You just somehow. So how'd you find these ones? Is it just more phone calls?
Yeah, it was kind of just the same thing. The second one was on market as well. It had been sitting for a while. It was actually, I didn't see it on market. Another broker brought it to me. He's like, "Hey, this deal seller finance. I don't know if you saw it on market." And I was like, he knew I was looking for seller financing. I'm like, "Oh shit, okay." And then negotiated that one, got that one under contract. And then the third deal was actually a broker I had talked to a lot and made sure he knew I was interested in financing. He was out of Houston. And then he's like, "Hey, the guy brought me this deal. He doesn't want to put it on market, really cares about the tenants thing. He's very close to them. He doesn't want them knowing he's selling the property." And it was the best deal we've ever looked at, and the guy was willing to owner finance it.
Interesting. That's fantastic. So it sounds to me like, and this is something I talk about all the time, everything in life is about who you know. So you need to know as many people as you possibly can, because it sounds to me, as you're telling the story, that your network played a key role, that these people were people you'd called previously who are now getting back to you, or they heard about a deal you're doing and they're now coming to you trying to bring a similar deal.
Yep.
Yeah. And that took months of phone calls.
Yeah, probably about 6 months of phone calls before we got that first under contract. And then people have started, hey, like I heard, like I got this deal, I have this deal, I have this. And it was just kind of started snowballing from there.
Okay. Okay. So you've purchased a total of 3 separate deals. Is that correct? Okay.
Yep.
And so it was like 10 units, 10 units, and 8 units. Okay. And so now the 4 stages of a life cycle for a rental property is you buy it. Number 2, you stabilize it. Number 3, you optimize it, because a lot of times you got to get rents up or you got to get it repaired, get it up to market value. And then number 4, you either debt hammer or you come up with your exit strategy, you move on to the next property. So sounds like the first 10 unit are completely stabilized and optimized. You said they were already rented out full. So now it's literally just collect payments, manage that property, operate that property, and then an exit strategy down the line. These next 2, is there work that needs to be done? Do you have to get rents up, remodels? What's the plan with those?
Yeah, the second one, we still need to boost rents up a little bit more. We're getting it closer. We already increased rents a little bit. Those are month to month as well. And then the third one, the reason it was such a good deal is day one, it's probably worth about 115, and we bought it for 725,000.
Okay, wow. So day one, it was worth 1,150,000, and you bought it for 725.
Yeah.
How'd you get such a big discount?
The guy that's what he wanted for it. He just wanted to be done with it. He was managing himself. Back was hurt and getting older, and he's like, I just can't do this anymore. I just want to sell it.
And he was scared the tenants leaving, so he couldn't market it. He didn't want to market it because he thought they would all.
Yeah, so because I was going to say, well, like, with this guy just not smart enough to post it and see who would bid this thing up. So he didn't want to market it, but he must have talked to a broker who then came to you guys.
Yeah, we were kind of the broker's first call, which is really nice.
And why? Were you the broker's first call?
Yeah, just because I'd stay in touch with him for so long, showed what I was looking for, he understood I knew what I was talking about. I mean, he didn't know we were 29 or 19 years old at the time, to be honest. We just knew our numbers. He had sent me deals in the past. I'd be like, hey, this doesn't work because of this, and this. And just stayed in constant contact with him a couple times a month. It's like, hey, what do you got? What do you got? He sent me a deal, didn't work. Tell him why it didn't work. Tell him what I was looking for. And then he got this one. He's like, this one should be exactly what you're looking for. And then.
Nice. Well, honestly, fellas, this is such an impressive story because it just details how creativity, hard work, grit, determination, networking, and then being ready to move quickly, speed, number 1 rule of business. When you combine all of these different things, you do amazing things that people your age, I mean, honestly, probably the amount of times you guys get called like fake gurus, liars, scammers, or using daddy's money. Like, I can't even tell us about that. What do the haters say? What do your friends say? I can't even imagine what your friends say when you post your shorts. I'm sitting there, I'm looking at this short of both of you, and you're wearing like super short shorts. And I'm like, I'm looking at way too much thigh in this video, but all right, I'll listen. Like, what do their 19-year-old friends think when they post something like, oh yeah, dude, just go buy 28 units worth of real estate? It's no big deal.
I mean, most of them kind of look at us like we're crazy. Just because, like, me growing up, a lot of guys I played baseball with, Chucky played a lot of basketball. So it's like guys are just like, oh, what? Like, how do you do that kind of thing? But a few of them actually start applying it as well and kind of seeing like the success we're having with it and want that for themselves, realize they were in college, wasn't where they wanted to be. And so some of them actually started taking it up and kind of following.
Yeah, they're looking at deals in real time. So
yeah,
pretty impressive.
Okay, so you've got some friends who are inspired, but I really want to know, is there anybody in your life who's a hater? Is there anybody in your life who's telling you, slow down, don't do it, you're going to ruin yourself, or you're making bad choices, or, debt is bad debt? Is there anybody?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was a good amount of people I knew in my network, just like, hey, what are you doing? Like, dropping out of college, stop playing baseball to go buy real estate. Like, what do you think you're doing? You don't have any money, you don't have any credit, you don't have a job. You're just staying in college, keep playing baseball was a lot of what I got. And it was kind of biggest challenge was kind of overcoming that, what other people thought, and like kind of just everything I was hearing. So yeah, I definitely have had a lot of that through the whole process, but now it's like those same people are the ones texting you like, oh, congrats, like you actually did it afterwards. It's pretty cool.
So how did you overcome the adversity? Did you just ignore them? Did you just block them for 6 months until you could show them receipts?
Yeah, I was kind of just like, wouldn't take no for an answer, honestly. It was like, oh, you can't do that. It's like, why can't I do it? Who says I can't do it? Like, in meeting Cody was very inspiring because it's like somebody literally can do it. Like somebody my age with no money getting started did this. It is possible. It's just about putting in the work and the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think at least in my opinion, the most underrated part of your story, because we breezed past it in a 20-minute conversation, is you can't undervalue how 6 months worth of hundreds and hundreds of phone calls. I mean, the dedication and determination it takes to pick the phone up and call again and again and again and again and get laughed at or ignored or hung up or nobody answers. I mean, that was the key to the success right there, in my opinion. Do you agree?
Oh, I couldn't agree more. No, 100%. It's just like after getting on a phone call, the broker telling you like nobody's owner finance, like 99% of deals I list, they won't even look at an owner finance deal. And the market is red hot. Tell me I'm crazy if I'm thinking I'm going to get an owner finance deal in this market. And just, there were days where it was tough just because it's like, gosh, like after we lost like a few deals early on, like right in the finish line, the broker blew the deal up last second just because of a bad broker or something like that. Like, oh, you can't do this, this, and this. And then boom, like we're about to be under contract. The guy blows it up. It's like after that kind of stuff, it was very frustrating. It's like, gosh, do I like stop? Do I go back to college? Like, what do I do? But just kind of getting up the next day, making more calls and looking at more deals was definitely the biggest part of our success. So
right now, are you currently living off of the cash flow that you make? You guys don't have jobs right now, or you're living off the cash flow from the deals?
Living off some of the cash flow. We're still working some jobs, but like part-time stuff, like a little bit of DoorDash, a little bit of helping Christian and Cody out with certain stuff, but that's about it.
Yeah, because we are trying to build up a reserve, so we are keep holding most of the cash.
Yeah, we're trying not to. If possible, we're trying not to use anything that we net ourselves.
Sure. Yeah, and there's so a lot of people would be a little judgmental. Like, I have a full-time job. I'm a SWAT officer. I can never get a day off. I get called last night. I was supposed to have a day off. I had to go take down a freaking meth lab. I was like, oh my God, I'm so tired. And so, working still, DoorDash, whatever it might be, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, Cody and Christian are technically working full-time jobs because they manage a business and they have their own property management company. At some point, I imagine they will probably try to completely withdraw from that and have employees take over that type of stuff. So there's nothing wrong with that. Interesting. Wow, this is just such a great story. So fellas, if you could break it down, your final thoughts, if you were giving advice to somebody, let's say I have a couple young guys who watch my YouTube channel. I've been doing a live series with a 16-year-old kid who I've told to watch your stuff. But if you were going to give advice to somebody who wants to get started, young or old, what do you think the two most important things are that they do to hopefully start getting deals like you?
I would say just look at a bunch of deals and then don't stop looking at a bunch of deals.
Yeah,
I think if you just do it long enough, you're going to end up with some deals.
I think the action step there is definitely the biggest key. I mean, everybody has different pieces, like Christian and Cody, for instance, like their pieces they're in their market. They invest a couple hours away from them in where they live. For us, it's like we invest halfway across the country. So I think it's not taking no from people. You're going to hear it a million times why you can't do it. Just cut that out and then use the pieces you have. Like if you're looking at deals, if you live in a great market in your backyard, like go look at deals there. If you live in like somewhere in San Diego where it's like a quadplex, they're trying to get $1 million for it. It's like, or 4 million sometimes. It's like, just play with the pieces you have and just keep pushing through.
Sweet. Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. You pretty much just have to have an iron mindset of I won't give up. I'm going to keep pushing through and I'm going to be successful no matter what anybody says about me. Fellas, what's the best way for people to reach out to you or follow your journey?
I would say Instagram, YouTube, Caleb and Chuck.
Yeah, just simple. Just Caleb and Chuck. We're on YouTube and Instagram. Hit us up.
Yeah. And so if anybody wants, I'll post a link to their YouTube and a link to their Instagram in the description below. Caleb and Chuck on Instagram and YouTube. They do post a bunch of videos. If you want to see them in like 5-inch inseam shorts, doing shorts on YouTube, then you can. I don't know why you would. He has no
president of the company.
Dude, he's just out here. He's trying to get all the freaking honeys. He's like, ladies, invest in real estate or these shorts. So anyways, guys, I appreciate you coming on. For anybody who's watching this, you need to remember these guys' names. Okay. They're going to blow past me in subscribers. They're going to blow past, they've already blown past me in unit count and cash flow and stuff like that. So get on the Caleb and Chuck train early, support them early, because at some point they're going to be so big, they'll never even have time to respond to your comments in their YouTube videos. So make sure you ask them now if you can. Fellas, I appreciate you being here and we'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for having us.